Guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with a new series. Today, we're checking out here the Unified Italy, Garibaldi, Hero of Two Worlds. Not sure what to expect, don't know this one, so let's learn more about who managed to unite Italy. I'm actually curious about this Garibaldi guy. So let's check it out. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Here we go.
Rome, June 30th, 1849. French shells are landing on the city as Giuseppe Garibaldi stands in front of his troops. He cuts a striking figure in his sombrero and poncho. Currently, he's commanding the defense of Rome, trying to create a unified, independent Italy. And his acts in the last month are things of legend. Smoking on the walls each morning as snipers shoot at him. Hosting dinner parties where his guests die from artillery shrapnel. But now, he addresses his troops, telling them that the political leadership has opted to surrender. Yet he himself will not. Instead, he will go to the mountains and continue to fight a guerrilla war. He then asks them to come with him, warning that he can provide no pay, no provisions, and no rest. Instead, he offers only hunger, cold, forced marches, battles, and death. And anyone who is not satisfied with that will be left behind. But he who has the name of Italy not only on his lips, but in his heart, let him follow me. And with that offer, 4,000 of them do. For he is Garibaldi, the hero of two worlds.
That'll be fun. Definitely checking out more of this guy. Let's see.
Thanks so much to Doomlink for helping to make today's historical tale possible. To see how you can become the hero of this delightfully doomed card game, stay tuned until after the episode. Giuseppe Garibaldi, the man who'd help unite Italy, was 26 years old before he'd heard of it. He was in Constantinople, sailing on his father's merchant vessel, when he heard two men talking about a secret society one had joined, called Young Italy. "What do you mean, Italy?" scoffed the other. "What's Italy?" "I mean the new Italy," the man responded. "United Italy, the Italy of all Italians." Now, this answer seems obvious to us today, but it was not in Garibaldi's youth. 2 centuries ago, Italy as we know it was only the vaguest idea. People were Italian in the same way we say European now. The Italian peninsula was highly regional, carved up into small kingdoms, city-states, and republics. They had wildly differing economies, architectural styles, cultures, and even the dialects spoken in them were different enough that they didn't really share a common language. While the center...
Well, if I remember correctly, I think things went to crazy town, like when the Romans fell. So there's not really been a unifying figure, but I guess with Garibaldi here, we're about to get that unifying figure. So, or at least inspire the march for that power, I guess. I've actually never heard of this story, so I'm really curious to see what happens. Let's keep going.
Of the peninsula was under the papacy. The other states of Italy were regional powers in flux, constantly competing with their neighbors. This made fertile ground for the larger and more powerful states that surrounded the peninsula, particularly France and Austria, to bankroll or offer protection to various states and fight proxy conflicts against their enemies. People in the Italian states were content with this situation, willingly acting as tools. After all, they generally feared domination by neighboring states far more than abdicating some power to Austria or France. But then, an Italian hero rose up to unite his country. A man who probably, more than any other, helped unite Italy, Napoleon Bonaparte? Yeah, see, Napoleon was born in Corsica and espoused his Corsican nationalism before deciding he'd get promoted faster if he changed his name and mannerisms to appear more French, which he was right. And in 1796, he returned to Italy at the head of a French army that conquered it, threw out the regional monarchs, and expelled the Pope. He went on to carve it up into 3 parts, ruled by various family members, achieving what was once thought impossible: uniting all of Italy into hating him. Because now, whether you were Venetian or Milanese, Florentine or Roman, you all loathed Napoleon. But then on the flip side, you hated Napoleon going away. Because despite treating Italian states like exploited colonies, he also brought a lot of modernization. From street lighting and upgraded sewers, to throwing priests out of government positions in exchange for career civil servants. Basically, Napoleon had given Italy both a common enemy and a taste of the Enlightenment. But when Napoleon was
kind of the
defeated,
duality of
any
Napoleon
thoughts
for
of
ya.
unity were quickly squashed. A united Italy would have been a threat to Austria, so the Congress of Vienna essentially put things back like they were, restoring the
bitch.
minor kings and hustling France out the door, so Austria would be the dominant power over the peninsula. And
Ow.
those conservative kings went on to roll back all of Napoleon's reforms, including things like street lighting and sewers. This
Right.
was the mess that Garibaldi was born into in 1807. His hometown had been incorporated into French territory for much of his childhood before being returned to the Kingdom of Piedmont Sardinia by the Congress of Vienna. His family owned a ship but was relatively poor and sent him to a church school so he'd have the education to advance his position and not be stuck in the sailing life living voyage to voyage like his father. So when he heard that...
Yeah, honestly, jeez, I mean, if I saw that on my country, I start rebelling. Like, no offense, but if I heard or felt that freedom Napoleon gave me, ain't no way I'm letting that happen. Like, even if like Napoleon was a dictator to the French and the rest of Europe, still gave us some entities. Like, seriously, you think the people that are excited about Napoleon being out saw this and were like, why did we want Napoleon part out? At least he gave us more freedom. Yeah. Sometimes in the 1800s, you just can't win. Can you? Yeah, it take a while for democracy to get in, but these monarchs just did not want to give up that power.
Conversation about young Italy. The topic was not only personal, but he had the education to wrap his mind around its Enlightenment concepts like nationalism and freedom. In fact, he was already semi-awakened politically. On a previous voyage, his father's ship had transported a socialist radical who preached societal reform, the equality of women, and destigmatizing sexuality. So, building off of that, the moment Garibaldi heard about young Italy, he was in. First, he sought out the Young Italy
Giuseppe
Society's
Mazzini.
founder, Giuseppe Mazzini, who was living in exile after a failed uprising. There, Garibaldi pledged his support to Mazzini's dream of creating one free, independent Republican nation. Neither of them could have known that this would be a lifelong relationship, and Mazzini had a mission for Garibaldi. Go to Genoa, join the Navy of Piedmont Sardinia, start recruiting, and when Mazzini triggered an insurrection, stage a mutiny. Oh, and Garibaldi did so. But when the time came and he raised the banner of revolution, it was only for like a few hours. Because turns out, the rebel army that was supposed to invade was crushed almost immediately, causing Garibaldi to jump on a ship and go on the run. Supposedly, though, only after making love to 3 women, because, you know, he was
His own claim, yeah.
Sentenced to death in absentia, he couldn't return home. So instead, he knocked around as a sailor, lying low, scraping by, and doing small acts of rebellion wherever he could, like ferrying activists back to Italy. Bro was straight up fireflying it. Hearing that there were opportunities for sailors in the Empire of Brazil, he relocated to Rio de Janeiro. Still restless and bored, he decided to solve his ennui by enlisting in a war. Specifically, the Ragamuffin War of 1835, one of the many attempts by the regions on the periphery to break away from Brazil's central government. In brief, the southern province of Grande do Sul was basically cowboy country, with an economy developed around raising beef, and the people there practiced gaucho culture, a ranching culture analogous to the American West, complete with ponchos, sombreros, cattle drives, and 6-shooters. But the central government had made trade agreements that made imported beef so cheap that the meat trade cratered, which led to a rebellion. To Garibaldi, who had an inherent sense of romantic imagery and never met an underdog he didn't like, the pull was irresistible. He showed up and asked for a letter of marque, offering his services as a naval commander since they had no navy. Great, they said. Do you have a ship? Nope. A crew? Couple other Italian guys.
Nope.
Access to a port? No. Look, just make me a privateer and I'll figure it out. You know what? I like your confidence. And
let's go.
To his credit, Garibaldi did figure it out. Unable to get sea access, he decided to work with what he did have: cattle. He supervised the construction of 2 large ships, slapped giant wheels on them, yoked them to dozens of cattle each, and pulled them to the sea. There, he began fighting the Brazilian Navy, capturing 14 vessels over the next few years. But it was when surveying a port town he was planning on taking that he saw the prize he most wanted to capture. Sighted in his telescope was a woman. Immediately infatuated, he lowered a boat, rowed ashore, and her father invited him in for coffee. Her name was Anita, and she was 18 years old, a woman of
Ana
mixed
Maria
Portuguese
Jesus
and
repito.
indigenous heritage, raised in the gaucho culture. She
Yes,
was
specifically.
resilient and vivacious,
Bonita.
talented at riding and shooting. Garibaldi, then 32, was simply head over heels. His first words to her were, "You should be mine." And she apparently felt the same way. But there was the small matter of, let me check my notes here.
Her being married?
Her being married already. Meaning that Garibaldi, I'm sure, felt a certain guilt of sin
Let me
when
guess.
she
Take
left
her away.
with him to go off to war. What? I said it was a small matter. Look, she
Sure.
got married at 14 and didn't really like the other guy. So instead,
Fair
she
enough.
traveled with Garibaldi on his ship and would stay beside him for every battle thereafter. For Anita would not
Oh,
wait
Anita.
behind the lines. Oh no. She joined Garibaldi in the front ranks of fighting, bloodying her sword and commanding men in combat. And
Nice.
this romantic image of them, fighting by day and loving by night, would soon make them the most famous couple in the world, cutting a swashbuckling path across South America and back to Garibaldi's beloved Italy. Though Anita wasn't only bringing a sword into battle, for she was also carrying Garibaldi's baby. Yeah, their exploits in the next episode really evolve in some pretty wild ways that would even give the Doomlings a run for their money. What, pray tell, is a Doomling, you ask? Well, let
Speaking
me
of
tell
which-
you. Okay, stop me if you've heard this one. You're sitting down for your weekly gaming group, right? But no one can decide what game to play. Some are feeling a rules-heavy crunchathon. Some want a light game with minor story elements, and some just want the game to start. That's usually me. Well, I'm very glad
True.
to have found something that's been keeping everyone at my gaming table very happy these days. Doomlings. A lighthearted, cheeky card game that has
I guess that's up to you, but anyway. You guys want to learn more Garibaldi? I'm definitely coming back for more. Let me know what you guys think. Till next time, see ya!